Well, man, I appreciate it. I'm Burl. Nice to meet you. Do you go by Charles? Is that right?
Yes, sir, Charles.
All right. Where do you work at?
I work at a DFW airport. I fix their airplanes and stuff.
Oh, really? That's pretty
Yes,
cool.
sir. Yeah.
Sorry, I saw. Did you go to Waxahachie High School?
Oh, yes, sir. I did. Waxahachie
Yeah,
ISD.
I saw that. So I saw you wearing a shirt. And so my friend lives in Midlothian. Him and I actually went to high school in Irving. It's funny because so I went to high school in Irving, and the guy I went to high school with, we're still friends and still all that. And he lives in Midlothian, so not far from you. In fact, how you get to my house, which I live in Oklahoma, how you get to my house is 287, which, Wichita Falls, come up that
Mm-hmm.
way. So, well, man, really, believe it or not, I'm not like some rodeo expert or anything like that. The reason I wanted to talk to you is just because I follow you on TikTok. Man, I think that, I'm just intrigued by like, I've been intrigued by your videos. I've been watching a lot this morning, just kind of checking it out some more. And I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely an interesting guy. I mean, you have a long history in rodeo with your
Oh,
family.
yes, sir.
Now, your grandpa, actually, it's your great grandpa. Is that right?
Yes, my great grandpa, Cleo
Cleo
Hearn.
Hearn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. So man, he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, what? Give me just the kind of the summary of his life when it comes to rodeo and his influence on you.
Yeah, I will. So I think he started rodeo in like the 50s, and
Yeah,
then he got a rodeo scholarship for OSU. And then the very first year that they put their rodeo team on, that's when he got drafted to go to the Army. So he was in the Presidential Honor Guard
yeah.
under John F. Kennedy. And then so I think he did a 4 years or either 3 years. And then John F. Kennedy got assassinated. And that's when I think, like he had left the Army. And then he got a job at Ford. And that's when he started to do like a lot of commercials and stuff and still rodeo. And
Hmm.
so rodeo people, like I saw him in those commercials, and that's how he kind of got a big in our rodeo because he started to do it at like a bigger arenas and stuff like that. And then he started
Yeah.
winning like these championships and stuff. And he was like
Hmm.
a black and a Native American, and so he was the
Hmm.
only one. And so that's when he produced his very first Cowboys of Color rodeo. At first, it was called the Black Rodeo, but he didn't like how it was just all black. So he
Hmm.
changed it to the Cowboys of Color rodeo, which means everybody. And so that's when he started that. And so I think about like 20 years later, then I came in, and so I wanted to carry on his legacy because right
Hmm.
now I think he's retired from it, like kind of done with it.
Hmm.
And so I'm trying to learn how to produce those rodeos and take it
Yeah.
to a bigger level than just an amateur level. So
Hmm. So when you say I rodeo, explain that to me.
I ranch bronco ride in
Hmm.
these rodeos. So ranch bronco riding, it isn't like a pro rodeo event. It's like an
Hmm.
amateur rodeo event.
I see.
Yeah.
So are you doing that like basically full time? I mean, I guess you're doing it part time if you're working. So what's your goal when you're out there like riding? So I'm watching your videos and you do bronc riding only, is that right?
Yes, sir. I do ranch bronco riding, and then I work on a ranch when I'm not working here. So after I
Uh-huh.
leave the airport, I go to a ranch in Kaufman, and I
Uh-huh.
break their coats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I wish I could do a rodeo full time, but with
Hmm.
a ranch bronc, it's not a professional sport yet. So they don't have rodeos every single day. It's only on a Saturday, like the PRCA with saddle bronc or calf are open. You could do that every single day with the PRCA. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, that's where I'm trying to advance a saddle bronc, learn a different event so I could do it full time.
Yeah. Because I mean, don't you like in professional rodeo, you really need to do more than one event? Is that correct?
Yes,
I
you
mean,
do.
because you like look at the all around cowboy, they usually
Mm-hmm.
do multiple events. And so sometimes, I've been a fan of rodeo. We have a pretty big rodeo here in Elk City. And it's, because the stock contractor, Buckner and Sons, they're from Elk City. So it's like the town that I live in, it's a big part of this town. So they have a rodeo in September. What is that, Memorial Day? I guess that's Memorial Day. I always get it confused with Labor Day, but that's Memorial Day. So they have a huge rodeo weekend. And then, of course, I've been to the NFR. Actually, I went the last 3 years in a row. But, besides the NFR, my first time to go was when it was in Arlington. And I had never been before. I always looked at it like it was kind of the rich man's thing
Mm-hmm.
because everybody I knew that had money went. And I, really couldn't afford to go. But I got to go when it was in Texas. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm like, man, I really love this event. And then I went the last 2 years in Vegas. But besides that, it's always been like regional or local rodeos that I've always gone to as a kid, like Mesquite Rodeo there in the Dallas area. I've been to that. But I would say more local rodeos. So that's pretty amazing. So, I mean, so your goal is to advance to the professional level. How do you do that?
So if I'm going to advance, that means I need to go to a saddle bronc riding school. So I want to learn how to team rope and saddle bronc ride because I just brought a horse for team roping, but
Uh-huh.
I got to train myself. So I kind of did it like the wrong way because you're supposed to learn first and go to school first. But I had
Yeah.
brought the horse first, and so now I got to teach myself. And
Yeah.
so when I learned like I had a team rope, that's when I'll go to saddle bronc riding school. So if I get hurt and like a saddle bronc, I'll still have my two arms, to team rope. And so that's my
Mm.
goal to do those both events in the PRCA by next year.
I noticed people who do team roping. My neighbor used to do, or I've moved since then. I used to have a guest ranch, and so the
Hmm.
guest ranch was kind of like, and hence like my TikTok is Flying W Ranch, but it's because I had a guest ranch, and so people from all over the country would come stay there, and it's kind of like be a cowboy for the day, but it was really they'd stay in RVs or they'd stay in our cabins. But I got to spend a lot of time with people from all over the country, and my neighbor there. Oh my gosh, like he was just eat up with team roping. So, and we had an arena and he'd come out to our arena every once in a while, but he had his own little arena. I mean, but he would spend hours and hours just trying to perfect. And then when I went to the NFR, he's texting me. He's saying, "Man, he wanted me to video like every single team roping event and send it to him, And he was just so eat up with it. And that's what I've noticed with like team ropers; they're just eat up with it completely. That's pretty crazy. Well, man. So, how old are you?
So I'm 21 years old, which
Yeah.
like in the rodeo world,
Hmm.
18 is considered like when you're 18 and you're trying to go pro.
Yeah.
In today's world, that means you should already went to the NFR or you should have went to the American, which the American, that's another big rodeo at AT&T Stadium. Because like our
Yeah.
Rocker Steiner, the Bareback rider, he's 18, and then I think Tough Cooper, I went at like a 21 my age to the NFR, and so
Hmm.
I'm 21, and so like I'm still like trying to go to the NFR by until like I'm 23. That's my goal. When I'm
Yeah.
23, I hope to be in the NFR. So I got about 3 or 2 years.
So they literally do have schools for this stuff. Like you can go and I mean, I was thinking back. I have three sons, right? I have two daughters, three
Hmm.
sons. I have five kids. But anyway, my youngest son, which he's 20, he like really. This is a couple of years ago. He's like, man, I really wanted to bull ride. He really wanted to, and so I didn't think he had the body type because, like me, I'm tall and skinny. I'm 6'4", 200 pounds. So, where my son, he's like 6'1", and he weighs probably 160, 175, something like that. But I actually had trouble finding someone that could help him,
Hmm.
to learn how to do it properly. There is a guy here, but it was like even to try to get in there, it was like seemed like it was very difficult to get to get somebody to teach him how to do it. I didn't know how to do it, even though like, and I think most people know this, but it's like you can grow up on a ranch your whole life, which I've lived like that my whole life. But that don't mean I know anything about rodeoing. You take something simple as roping, like
Mm-hmm.
the way you rope a calf, like in a pasture, is way different than the way you rope. In fact, they say it messes you up. I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's not the same technique. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. There's a lot of our ranch guys that try to enter the team I roping,
Yeah,
and they just don't do too good.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty inspired by your videos. I think that, I mean, what I see from you is like, I knew you're a young guy, and I'm like, man, I like the fact that you're trying stuff and you're trying to get out there, and you're also trying to like, I believe it's very clear that you have a family legacy and that you're trying to keep up that family legacy. And I like it. And I think that, you know, like you make it clear also that you don't want to be like this fake cowboy who, and I like that because I'm like, I struggle with that. One of the questions when I was at the guest ranch, I'd have kids there, and kids I would show them how to ride, and I do riding lessons, and just, and there's like 1,200 acres. So, man, we could ride all day and not,
Mm-hmm.
see the same thing twice. So I loved it, which is very rare. You can't, most people, when they take like riding lessons or they go ride a horse, man, they may ride in a circle in an arena, so I had it pretty amazing. But one of the things I was asked over and over again by kids, like they would look at me and say, "Are you a cowboy?" And I mean, really, and like, because I'm from Texas, now I live in Oklahoma, man, I think seeing a cowboy, like a guy wearing a hat for kids, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty normal. But you go outside of kind of this area, and you realize I had tons of kids who had never seen a cow. And you'd think, oh man, everybody sees a cow. But no, they had never seen a cow. They'd seen it on the internet or they'd seen
Mm-hmm.
pictures of it, but they had never seen a cow. And so I got asked that question frequently, and it blew my mind. They would look at me and say, "Are you a cowboy?" And so I would like to know, man, from your point of view, if a kid was going to say, "Charles, are you a cowboy?" What would you say? And what would you say a cowboy is?
I'll probably say I'm working on being one, but I'll probably say that till I die. Even if I have like a ranch and cows and stuff, I'll probably say I'm working on being one. But I'll
Yeah.
say being a cowboy is like you go out there every day on the ranch, take care of your cows and your bulls or whatever you have. Being a
Yeah.
rodeo cowboy is totally different because you're just a weekend cowboy, doing
Mm-hmm.
a rodeo. Cowboy is somebody who like works until like the sun goes down, and he has a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like respect for his wife and his family and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say that I'm like working on being one because a cowboy, it takes a lot of courage, to be a
Yeah.
cowboy. So I say I'm like working on being one. But when these TikTok guys, just like a post and stuff saying, "Oh, I'm a cowboy" and stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just really don't agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I get it
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it's not about the boots, it's not about the
Mm-hmm.
hat. I mean, you spend a shitload of money on boots and
Yeah.
hats, and and it's not. And what's funny is a lot of that stuff, the apparel, and the apparel is crazy expensive. You go to
Yeah.
even like Cowboy Christmas and at the NFR, and it's like that stuff's crazy expensive, but it does not. In fact, some of that stuff you couldn't even wear to work. It's like, this is not,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I agree with you 100%. I, so did I was kind of I don't do a lot of research on people that I talk to just because like, I think that I don't know you. So the best way to get to know you is just
Mm-hmm.
talk. And so I don't do a ton of research. I've kind of always been that way. But one of the things, is it true? Like one of your uncles was a pro baseball player. Does that sound right?
Yeah. So it's my cousin, but his dad is
Oh,
a
your cousin.
roper. But
Yeah.
Taylor used to be a calf roper too, and then he got called up to the Texas Rangers in 2019, And
Oh
now he's
wow.
a starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers, and he's Taylor Hearn. But he
Wow.
also ropes, and he owns a couple of bulls and stuff.
Hmm.
And so, like a different stock contractor, like I has a bulls, and they'll like I take them to like that PBR and stuff, and then like Taylor, I will do like a summer camp where like
Hmm.
he'll like I teach kids how to rope and how to play baseball at the same time. So that's pretty cool too. So he didn't
That
give
is
our
cool.
rodeo up completely just to play baseball, but in his contract it says that he cannot like enter a rodeo. Like he can like I teach it, he just can't
Yeah,
enter it.
they're gonna keep
So
him safe. That's what they
yeah,
want.
they're gonna try to keep him safe.
That's pretty amazing. Did you play sports in high school?
So my great grandpa Cleo Hearn,
Hmm.
he was about to go to back then in like the 50s and stuff. Before
Hmm.
he did rodeo, well, I think while he was doing rodeo, I think he was about to go to the Negro League, and
Hmm.
so he made like I guess I like this thing to where like all his grandsons and stuff that they I have to play baseball because playing baseball is like kind of like a rodeo because when you go throw a rope, it's like
Hmm.
that you're about to swing a baseball bat, or when like you are ride a bull, your arm is at the same
Same
um
angle.
same length as a baseball bat, and
Huh.
so
I didn't
that's
know
why
that.
he put us into baseball.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. So did you like
Yeah.
baseball? Did you play baseball?
Yes. So I played baseball in middle school, and then I played it in junior high.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like baseball that much. I was kind of forced to do baseball. I liked rodeo a lot, but in my school, it's either you join the baseball team or you join the rodeo team. And my
Uh-huh.
family, they don't really like a high school rodeo that much. They want you to play sports, and then when you get outside of school, then you can focus on rodeo. So I had
I
to do
see.
sports. Yeah.
Well, so I believe it or not, this is a side note, but I lived on a 200-acre ranch in Irving when I was in high school. In Irving. Okay. So from
Yeah, that's
DFW, it's not there anymore. There's a highway where it used to be. But from DFW, if you like north, so you have 183 that goes through Irving.
Mhm.
Well, the land was like basically right in there north of the airport. Kind of like north, I guess that would be northeast of the airport. But my dad, we had lived in we lived outside of Austin. We lived in West Texas. My dad was in the oil field, but he decided he wanted to get out of the oil field. And so when I was in high school, we moved to the Dallas area, and his job, he was the ranch foreman for an ex-congressman. And so that ex-congressman had a 200-acre ranch right there in Irving. No joke. And I mean, it had everything you could imagine. It had like game rooms and a pool and hot tub, all this stuff. And it was kind of cool growing up or when I was in high school, because literally lived on this ranch. I mean, right there in town. And nobody else lived on the ranch. So it was just us. And my dad just worked for it. And it's funny because I think my dad made like $10 an hour. He didn't make very much money. But part of the cool deal is that we got to live on the ranch and we had a place to live. But yeah, so we had cattle and horses
Mhm.
and it wasn't ours. It was this my dad's employer, but it was cool because when I tell people that I lived on a ranch right there in the Dallas Fort Worth area, they're like, "No way!" And I'm talking about right there. But
Mhm.
like I said, it's gone now, but it was kind of a crazy deal back then. Um, but that was like a long time ago. I mean, that I graduated in 1990, so that give you an idea how long ago that was. I don't know how long the ranch lasted after that, but well, man. So what? You're working. Are you like married? Got a girlfriend?
Oh no, I don't. Not right now. It's hard to have a girlfriend and then try to rodeo at the same time because they always complain that you're out all night and stuff, meeting girls
Yeah,
while racers and stuff. So I
yeah.
stay single. Yeah.
There you go. I like it. What's your goal? Like I know. And it's always like if I say what's your goal with like TikTok and like social media, I know
Hmm.
that like obviously everybody wants to say I want to get more followers. I think that's kind of the goal is like, oh, I want to get more followers. But if you had to like, what's your goal with like TikTok and like, what do you hope to accomplish through your social media?
Yeah. So I hope to reach like our younger kids
Yeah.
and let them know that like I live in like these like city parks like Irving now,
Hmm.
Grapevine, or like where's a city, Chicago, New York, all of the city places. I hope to reach those kids and try to
Hmm.
get them into rodeo because we don't want our rodeo to die. Because right
Yeah.
now, like they're abandoning sports and stuff like that in our rodeo.
Hmm.
And so if like we get our younger kids to do it, it's probably not going to be a ban. And so that's my goal with a TikTok to get the younger kids to try and ask their parents to put them into like a rodeo school or to go
Hmm.
and take them to see a rodeo. So that's
Yeah.
my goal.
So like, I think there's two sides to that as a parent, especially mamas. Mamas will be like, man, that's
Yeah.
dangerous. That's
Yeah.
dangerous. Um, I would like to know your thoughts on that. Like, parents sitting around,
Hmm.
especially mamas, thinking how dangerous that sport is. And of course, like even you even have it on your TikTok, and he's the most famous, I guess, rodeo guy out there, Lane Frost. And then he dies, and then I think it just makes it everybody. To me, I hate to say this, and you kind of mentioned like with California, but man, I hate it, but it feels like that rodeo is dying in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
When you go to the NFR, yeah, that's very deceiving because that's not your local rodeo.
Hmm.
Uh, and by the way, man, I told you about the weekend rodeo here, Memorial Day. Dude, I would love for you to come, and you'd have a place to stay. And I mean, it's a whole weekend thing that's like a
Hmm.
blast, and it's packed. But besides those things, it just feels like it's dying. And I hate to say it, but I don't want it to because I've enjoyed it so much, in my life, not
Hmm.
participating as in, one of the athletes, but just being there, the environment. I love the environment.
Hmm.
But what would you say about the dangers of it, man?
Yeah. So my grandma.
Hmm.
So I never could enter in my family's rodeos
Hmm.
because of my grandma. So she would always be like, "Oh no, I don't. I want you like out riding and stuff." She still don't. I want me out riding, but
Yeah.
it's in the blood, and so I gotta do it. But I never can enter in my family's rodeos because she's
Uh,
there. So every single like one of my rodeos, my
hmm.
family they don't ever come and watch me because of my grandma. So I get the
Yeah.
mom thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a real.
I mean, so if you have a kid, let's say they grow up in the Dallas Fort Worth area and they are interested in that. And I see that a lot. Like, man, if you want to go to baseball camp or you want to go to
Hmm.
football camp I mean, there's plenty. But if a kid wants to get into that stuff, then what's your advice to them? Like, how would they even get started or what would you
Hmm.
suggest to them?
Yeah, so I tell them to go to the hometown rodeos because those always feel like a family and environment, and talk to the
Hmm.
cowboys there because the cowboys there are they're like a friendly and stuff. So I talk to them and see if they
Hmm.
can teach you because like a one out of a five, they're gonna say yes, and they're gonna live close to you, and so they
Hmm.
should go to their and I can't even talk. So they should go out there and stuff, and I learn like how to rope or how to ride a
Hmm.
bulls, or I go on a line like what I did and go on YouTube and watch Dale Brisby videos because he kind
Yeah.
of taught me stuff, that
Dale
I
Brisby.
didn't know. Yeah, he taught me
That's
how to ride a broncs and like a whole rain and stuff.
uh
Yeah, Dale
that's
Brisby. I watch his videos, and
that's funny.
that's free. You ain't got
I
to
thought
pay.
he wasn't any. I thought he didn't rodeo at all.
He down rodeo, so what he does is he invites people out there, like
Yeah.
professional athletes, and
Uh-huh.
they'll teach you on his YouTube. But he'll say that he taught you. You
Yeah.
see, but he didn't hear that from me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw, you probably didn't because I just got so many dang videos. But I kind of like I laugh at it because it was so awkward when I went back and looked at the video. But there, I was at the bar and Del Brisby had his booth, and I went up there. I'm like, oh, I got to meet this guy.
Hmm.
So I go up there and meet him, and then like quickly I throw a song with the video, and the song is like corny. But anyway, it was a horrible, corny video where I meet Del Brisby, but still I left it up because I'm like, I don't give a shit. And in fact, I had some people like trying to make wisecracks about, well, you like him or some stuff like that. But the bottom line is, man, I wanted to meet the guy. And it was like, once I put it up, I was like, I don't care. I'm going to leave it up. But he seemed like a cool guy. So,
Yeah, he's a great
but,
guy to be
yeah.
around and hang with, and he'll teach you a lot of stuff.
Wow. Because see, that what I've heard of Del Brisby is, which he's kind of, so where I live only, I mean, really like 35 minutes from the Texas border. So what I'd heard is that it's really more for his comedy that he didn't
Hmm.
really, do any of that stuff, but he just likes to have fun with it. But I think I see what you're saying when I watch his videos that he's a part of those things and people can come to those. So in other words, he knows the right people, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, he knows the right people.
Yeah. Well, man, so what's your kind of I mean, you're working, but what's your immediate stuff? You like what's going on in your life right now that like kind of at this
Hmm.
moment, what are you working on?
So right now, my family, Marlboro and HBO, they just got done filming like a documentary or something, and so I've
Mhm.
been in meetings with them and stuff, and so that's about to come out. They don't give us a date as always, but
Yeah.
that's about to come out, and so I think when that comes out, that's when I'm gonna try to do a saddle bronc riding school. Because when that
Mhm.
comes out, then I think I should have like some followers or something from that video because it'll
Mhm.
be on HBO. And so I want to get into like a professional event. So when they look me up, it just don't say a ranch bronco rider because ranch
Mhm.
broncs. To be honest with you, that's just like smaller rodeos and like those
Yeah.
hometown rodeos. It's not like
Right.
the NFR.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, man, I mean, I sent you my number, and then what I'd like for you to do is maybe you text me, and when this interview comes out, I definitely, I'm obviously going to promote it on my side, but then I can
Oh
also
yeah,
let you
like,
know when it's out. And part of like you probably don't even know this, but the podcast we're on, it's called Undefeated. And what that means is, well, it's actually called Positively Undefeated. And so what I do is, and I all across the gamut, man, I interview people who like, I just feel like that in their life, they're trying to do stuff that's different. They're trying to, make it in life, especially guys. Like I interview women too, but mainly I think about the guys and like, life can be a struggle, and I see a lot of like kids struggling. I see a lot of, we deal a lot with like suicide. We do prevention. We do a lot with mental health. But I'm always inspired by guys who are out there trying to do things and just get involved, and they're trying to do something bigger than what they're doing. And so, really, that's what the podcast is about. And so, I'll find interesting people that either I know or I'll meet them and have them on because I think people are inspired by it. And I think once this episode comes out, the same thing. You promote it, and I'll promote it on my side. Man, have you ever seen the movie, or it's a documentary? It's called Unbranded. Have you seen that?
oh yes, sir. I think I have
Okay, it's
on
about
Prime.
these four. Well, I think you can watch it on Prime or you can watch it on Apple TV. But anyway, it's
Hmm.
about these four guys who graduate college at Texas A&M, and they train these wild mustangs and they ride them from Mexico to
Oh yeah, I seen that on YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool movie. I actually
Hmm.
or documentary. I actually watched it not too long ago. But I'm always intrigued by those. Like, for example, you were talking about your horse. How many horses do you have?
I have two horses right now.
Yeah. So how do you like when you were talking about like your horse? Because you bought a horse for roping, you said you bought it really before it was, before you needed to train first. How did you decide on that horse, and what way did you pick that horse?
So I was this was like I think last year I was at like a roping practice,
Uh-huh.
And so my friend said, "Hey, do you want to get on my horse?" I said, yeah, I can. I just don't know, like I had a Timo rope. Like I can, like I mess around a little bit, but I don't know, like I had to do it right away." So
Right.
me and the horse, I don't know, like that, so like those like a 2 hours. I don't know, we just grew like a connection, and
Hmm.
you'll know if a horse is all right for you. And
Hmm.
so I guess I drive it back. I just kept thinking about that black horse, and so I called him, and I went to go get him. And ever since then, like we've been like a close, me and that horse. And so I've been taking him to schools and stuff, even though I need to
Hmm.
take myself to schools. But he's going to be all right by the time I learn how to rope.
So whatever, you just had this connection with the horse, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
and see, I have yet to honestly find that. Honestly, I've had upwards of, like right now I have two horses, but I've had upwards of 12, and something like that. And it's because I did a lot of the trail riding. So we did a
Mm-hmm.
lot of trail riding. So like in that case, there was cattle, we had cattle there, and so like some of the horses I had were really did really good at working cattle, but most of them and the ones that did real well with working cattle, they worked into good trail riding horses because they were nothing would spook them, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
that was the key to like new riders. It's like, and I love the idea of these kids getting on these horses who had never ridden before, and and riding, and then just really become learning to love horses, because it's the same thing, it's like they've never seen a horse before. But one thing I notice is like horses are very intuitive about like who's riding them. So for example, if you jumped on one of these horses, then I think it automatically knows, okay, he's experienced, I'm fine, we can go do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we can go fast, we can, because like you take a good ranch horse, man, they will go 90 to nothing. Like if they
Yeah,
see
they will.
one
Yeah.
calf like jump out, like you're
Mm-hmm.
moving some cows, and then one jumps out, man, it will turn on a dime and go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not ready for it, it'll throw you off.
Yeah, it will.
And so when I think about that, it's like, but you put a kid on that same horse, and all of a sudden it's like he knows, like, whoa, wait a minute, I got a
Mm-hmm.
kid on me. I need to chill out, and I need to not do that stuff. And it's really phenomenal. Most people don't realize this is that, a horse has the fastest reaction time of like any animal in the world. So like, this riding on, it's like they
Mm-hmm.
can turn on a dime, they can, and I know that's what's hard about bronc riding and whatever else.
Yeah.
Man, so I mean, are those horses? Are they just like they're bred for just that, right? They
Yes, they
like,
are. They're bred. Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you? Because correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you don't want to get. I think maybe to somebody just watching, they say, "Oh, you would want to get a horse that was real laid back," but you really don't, because you can't do well if you have a horse that's just like lazy and
Mm-hmm.
jumps out, doesn't do anything, right? Because you want a horse that actually does something.
Yeah, that'll buck because you get points if it bucks.
Yeah. Because isn't half the score go to the animal and half the score
Mm-hmm.
go to
And then
you?
half the
Is that
score
right?
goes to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you really do want, I guess, what do you hope for when you draw a horse? When you say, okay, this is the one I'm going to get, what do you hope for?
So when I draw a horse, at the same time, like I want it to be like, like kind of like I lay back, but I want him to have that a buck too. So like a jump and a kick, a jump and a
Yeah.
kick straight down. I don't know. I want the horse to, to like a jump and turn right by the chute. I want to go down. But if it does
Mm-hmm.
do that, right by the chute, that just means like I got like a work more, because I got like a turn, like a my rein, and then I got a
Mm-hmm.
spur because I'm like I right by the judge. But if we just go like a straight down, it's like I working on a ranch, like I breaking our coats and stuff, because like I usually got like I lean back. So I like those horses. But the horses that like a buck, like I right by the chute, that's good too, because it's like a more of points. But you like I really got like pay attention, and it ain't gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a sore because you're a busy turning and stuff. So I like
Mm-hmm.
the ones that just go straight down, like the
It's fun.
PRCA horses.
I've been to rodeos where like I'm watching a guy ride and I'm like, oh my God, he had to have a great score. And I'm like seeing the horse doing all this bucking and the guys that hanging on. But then at the end, he doesn't get a very good score. And part
Yeah.
of like I think, man, I'm missing something because what looks cool doesn't necessarily translate into like a high score. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
it does.
why do you think that is? Like,
So,
what am
so
I
if like a
missing
horse,
there?
hmm so the judge will give points on how the horse bucks. So some horses, it might look like they're bucking good, but they're just like a change in like which ways they buck and stuff. So like a horse might like just like a jump in the air, then it should do that the whole lot ride. But if he like
Hmm.
jumps in the air and then he decides to like turn and kick, he's gonna
Hmm.
lose points because that horse doesn't really know like how he bucks yet. So the
Hmm.
ride might look like, oh, that's like a 90 point ride, but the horse like a keeps like a changing up his like a leads and stuff, and so that
Hmm.
throws the judge off, and so he's
Yeah.
not gonna get that many points. And most of those are horses that do that or the younger broncs and stuff because they don't know yet. It's their
I
first
don't
time.
know that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Man, whenever I watch your videos and like even talking to you now, so it like confirms what I thought in the first place, which I think that you've heard the country song. It's like country is countrywide. And like when I watch your videos, that's what comes to mind because I'm like thinking, the whole point of that song is you can't, you can pull into like an urban area, for example, and you think there's no cowboys there, there's no country there, but that's just not
Hmm.
true. You know what I mean? And then you can go to like I think us that we live in the South, so it's easy to think people up north or people in California or wherever, there's no way they're country. But actually, like I said, when I really watch it, I think it's like the theme. It's like because you said you had Indian in you, you have,
Hmm.
obviously, black
Yeah.
and then you live in the Dallas area, even though Waxahachie is outside of, that. But I'm saying
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
turning in it now.
I think it just proves that like, man, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
have to, it's like it's more than what we are talking about at the beginning. It's more than like the cowboy hat. It's more than the boots. I mean, I love me a pair of boots. I have like 20 something boots. I
Hmm.
did like a series of TikToks on the boots I had. And so like every day I'm like, okay, here's this pair of boots. And people
Hmm.
loved it. But it's, I can go buy, anybody can go buy those boots. It's like, but I think it's more than that. When I watch your videos, man, that song comes to mind. It's like country is countrywide. And I think it's true. I, I, uh, I mean, man, you have a great history. Part of it, is that hard to live up to?
Oh, yes, it is all the time.
I bet.
Because
I
because
mean,
when you get bucked off, you don't know what your grandpa is going to say when you get home because you know that he saw it on TV. My
mhm,
grandpa, he doesn't ever come to my rodeos, like I said. Even though
mhm,
I win like a five, but all I got to
yeah,
do is get bucked off like at a one rodeo, and then he'll be like, "Well, you need to go to a school or you need practice." You see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Because he has like a big legacy and stuff in our rodeo, and he wants me to get up there. So I can win a lot of like our rodeos, but he'll I never say, "Oh, that was a nice ride." He don't ever say that.
Yeah. I bet it is. I bet it's tough to live up to that legacy. And I see
Yeah.
that. I know. I don't know. I guess part of it is that you are trying to live up to that legacy, but on the same point, I think what I see, not knowing you that well, is that you're trying to also be your own man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
Hmm.
I think you have the legacy, which is, yeah, I get that, man. You got to, that's an important part of your family history and whatever. But also, I think that being your own person or your own man, is also a big deal. And I think you're doing that. I look at that. Man, what is your like when you're practicing? And man, if you need to go, I know you're at work and lunchtime, so you
Oh,
just tell
you're
me.
good. I still got a little time.
Okay. Well, I just got a few more things I want to talk to you about. What's your practice routine like? Like, here's what like I can't imagine like if you're how do you practice to like let's say bronc ride? Because like I think most people would say, oh, you jump, like, hey, I'm going to go and jump on some horses or I'm going to ride them. And but I wouldn't think that that would be your only practice routine is jumping on a horse and riding it a bunch, because number one, that gets old. And then on number two, I think it increases the chance of injury. So like, what do you do to practice in your side?
So I practice watching videos. I practice balancing myself on like a bouncy ball, something I seen JB Mooney do. So I tried it with our bronco riding because you still got to balance yourself out. I try lifting like weights and like the arm that I'm gonna hold my bronco rein in because that head is constantly pulling down on your arm, and so I think I did like 5 of like my at home exercises, and I got on my first bronc. Well, broncs, like I wouldn't hop on a bronc if you've never been on a horse. So like I learned like I had to ride a horse first, a regular horse that don't buck, and then try and get on a bronc. You see, because if you don't know like how to ride a horse, you're just gonna get bucked off if you're a bronc.
Yeah.
So riding horses comes, key to bronc riding.
Yeah. I think about like when I'm giving lessons to kids or even adults, I gave lessons to adults, but when I think about like just regular riding lessons, like I think balance is really important. Like if you're out of balance, like those kind of things. And then the other thing I think about is like the rhythm of the horse. Like if you have somebody and you're going into like, you're teaching them how to canter, and they're just flopping all over the place. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're trying to teach them to get into rhythm with the horse. So like one of my suggestions whenever we're just riding is like heels down, weight in the heels. That way you're feeling this balanced. So if the horse stops abruptly, if your heels are down, then you have your weight in your feet. You're not going to fall over to the front of the horse, But then I also think about like getting in the rhythm, because every horse's gait is a little bit different, and so but it's like learning to get in that rhythm. And this, it's like, but people who are new riding horses, when you get to like, when I said the canter, I meant like when you're posting, the trot is what I meant, not the canter. But when you move into the canter, which is like the loping, that's actually a lot smoother. But if you can't like trot and get used to that, then you can't move into do those rules still apply whenever you're bronc riding? Like balance,
yes, they do,
and that rhythm?
Yes, they do, because a horse will stop on you in bronc riding. Like he'll stop and then he'll start going again. Well, most of the time when they stop, cowboys go flying off. So that's how you know whether they just went to a rodeo school and they never been on a horse. So that's why I say if you're trying to get into it, you got to learn how to ride a horse. Because riding a horse, like if he stops and stuff, what to do. And bronco riding, those broncs will stop on you.
Yeah, it's funny because I teach what I would teach people that I was giving lessons to about their hands. And actually, where I got this from was, believe it or not, from like Clinton Anderson. I was kind of taught it as a kid. I just didn't know it was a thing. But then when I went to a Clinton Anderson clinic and they taught it too. And I was like, okay, now I understand why it's a thing. But what I teach them is like when you're riding, you have both hands on the rein, like a steering wheel. You know what I mean? And so whether you see a lot of people who are like who ride horses, let's say like a weekend rider type person, they always have one hand on their hip and one hand and holding. And it's like almost like make fun of people who, I've had this happen where I post a video of somebody riding and they'll make fun because they're holding the horn, the saddle horn with the rein. And I'm like, so two sides of that. One, I'm like, don't make fun of it because they're holding on for safety. It's like there's nothing wrong with like holding on to that for safety, even though it's not cool. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is that I've always been taught, and I teach with like riding with two hands. If you're going to hold on for safety, have one of those hands also holding on the horn for your rein and the
Mm-hmm.
horn. Does that make sense? I know it's
Yes, it is.
cooler, like in a lot of people's mind, it's cooler to kind of like one hand riding. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when you're learning, it's like I don't ever ride with one hand. I ride with two. And I'm like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I like Makati reins, which I don't know if you know what Makati reins are, but it's like I think they're great for like ranching and like working horses because you have your long lead rope that goes with it, and then you have your reins, and then you can always change the length of your reins by just doing it. But anyway, I don't I think that that's one of those things where it looks cool to ride with one hand, but it's number one, it's not very safe. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have good control and balance unless you ride with
Mm-hmm.
two hands. I don't know. Do you agree to that, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, I agree with that. You should ride with two hands on your rein unless you got a rope in the other hand. Because my grandpa
Yeah,
taught me to ride with the two hands on a rein, just like I'm driving a car, 10 and
yeah,
forward on the
yeah,
steering wheel.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
By the way, I heard that changed. I heard that they don't teach kids to drive with 10 and 2. I used to call it
Oh,
10 and
yeah,
2,
no, they
but
don't.
I think they teach them some other thing.
Yeah.
Um, May I have a funny question for you.
Hmm.
So I guess like I call it a bandana, but I saw a couple of videos you were wearing the bandana around your neck.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you you have the perfect tie. You're tying it. It looks good. So I know you don't have one in front of you with you, but
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think
so
so.
tell me how to tie that perfectly. How you tie it?
So I
Do you
was
just do a
in,
square knot?
yes, yes, I do. So I was kind of in like this like a Navy thing
Uh-huh.
when I was like a freshman and a sophomore and a junior. And so
Yeah.
I went to boot camp and Great Out Lakes and all this other thing, like a military school. And so we
Uh-huh.
had to tie I forgot what that's called, like our necker shifts. And so then when I brought the wild rags, then I just learned I had
Mhm.
to tie it. But just I go on YouTube and I look up like I how to tie a necker shift, and you'll learn. But it's just like a square knot, like a tie and a
Yeah.
tie is
Yeah.
just like that, and you just pull it through, just like tying a tie.
That's pretty cool. I was funny because like I have a few like I
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not when I was a kid like I was forced, and I use that word forced to carry a handkerchief with me everywhere. I mean, I'm talking about as a 5-year-old, as a
Mm-hmm.
10-year-old, I had to have a handkerchief in my pocket. I mean, I don't. My dad was very strict about that, and so I have a bunch. I mean, I don't do it as much as I used to, like, but I still have a bunch. But then I'm like, I like these, tying around your neck, but I never can get the tie right. So I'm like, man, I don't know, or they're too long. Maybe they're too long. They don't look. I don't know. But I saw you wearing one in one of your videos. I'm like, man, that looks good. And I think yours was shorter or something. It
Yeah,
looked a
mine
little
is
bit.
always a short.
Do you go? Have you? I'm sure you've been to the NFR, right? I mean, as a spectator.
Yes, I've been to the one in Arlington. That's probably my only one that I've been to.
Yeah, it was nice that it was there, huh?
Yes, it was. It was like right down the street.
It's funny because I don't like when I went to that one, like I'm at the Fort Worth Stockyards, hanging out just like everybody else is, and I'm
Hmm.
like in the middle of the day, I say, oh, I'm going to do a TikTok of the crowd is really what I was going to do. So I do this TikTok of the crowd. Don't know anything. Well, I guess the kid that is right there, he was pretty famous for junior rodeo, this kid, and he's walking with his girlfriend or whatever, and he's at the front of the video. And that thing like blew up because everybody knew who that kid was. I didn't
New
know who the kid was, but then of course him and I connected and whatever because of it. But anyway, it's pretty interesting. But I had a great time at the end of part. I mean, when it was in Arlington, and that was my first exposure to it. I was like, wow.
hmm
Of course, you hear rumors every year about how it's not going to be a Vegas anymore. I don't know. So,
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
but I don't know. I think Vegas is too smart for that. They're not going to let it
Hmm.
go away because
Yeah, they signed
Vegas
a 5 year
completely
contract.
changes. Have you ever been to Vegas?
No, I haven't yet. I want to.
Dude, the thing about it is, it's like Vegas completely changes when the NFR is there because, like, Vegas is like, I mean, it can be a dirty, like, I don't know that I love Vegas. I think it's okay, If you like gambling, yeah. If you like drinking, yeah. But on any other day or any other week or 2 weeks or whatever, then yeah. But man, when you go there, it's like it becomes nicer, it becomes friendlier, and it's because you have all these, country people there, I guess. But it just changes completely when the NFR is there. So I like it a lot better when the NFR is there, because I've been to Vegas before the NFR. And then I was like, yeah, I didn't really love it. But then when I went for the NFR, I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot more. So, well, man, how do people, like, if they want to connect with you, follow you, whatever, tell people listening how they can follow you and connect with you.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think you're cutting out there a little bit, brother.
On either Facebook. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hold on.
Better.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good now.
So it's either Charles Two Feathers on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yeah, Charles Two Feathers, right? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I heard what you're saying. I think you cut out a little bit again, but that's a great place for, man. And if you guys don't follow him on, I follow him on TikTok only out of those three. I'm going to go try to find you on the other ones, but, man, I think keep up the good work with the videos. I enjoy watching them, and I think it's a lot of fun. And I get what you're doing. I think you give a lot of I think you get a lot of respect to the industry and what you're doing. So, man, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I know it's like, it's funny, believe it or not, if I put out 10, I don't do this, but if I put out 10 requests for somebody to do a podcast with me, I would get 9 no's and 1 yes. I don't ever put out 10, but, and it's because I don't know why people are like, I don't know this guy. I don't know what he's going to talk about or whatever. And I get it, but I appreciate you, man, because you basically like, yep, I'll do it. And I appreciate that a lot, man. You have a friend. If you ever need something, you have my number now. You can reach out to me. If you're ever in Oklahoma, of course, Oklahoma is a big state too, but I would love to meet you, and maybe, I'll throw out I told you I had the invite for the rodeo on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I'll definitely come.
Dude, I'd love to have you. In fact, if I had it my way, I would, you come for the weekend. I'll show you a good time. We'll go to the rodeo. We have parade. I need to get some other horses that can ride in the parade. I used to ride in the parade, but the horse I have now is not good for that. But I need to. So we usually have a float in the parade. And in the past, I've ridden in the parade. But anyway, going to the rodeo is a blast because it's a big time rodeo here. So I'd love to have you. You have a place to stay. You can come enjoy it. So, but anyway, brother, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Hope you have a good day. Hopefully I didn't cause you to be late for work.
You did.
All right, brother. Have a great day.
Yeah. Same with you, too.
Thank you for listening to Positively Undefeated. If there was something in this show that resonated with you, please share the show with your community. If you want this show delivered each Monday morning to your podcast app of choice, please subscribe or follow. And if you'd like to get a hold of Burl, please do so by going to burlstricker.com/contact.